Here we have the Mercedes-Benz CLS63 S AMG. Now this being an S model AMG, that means it has more power. Its 5.5-liter twin-turbo V8 makes 577 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Now if that sounds similar to the E63, that's because that's what this car is, but it is a little bit more interesting because of its four-door coupe styling. Whether it's worth the cost difference between this and the E63 is what we're going to find out this week. Mercedes calls the CLS a four-door coupe. Never mind that coupes have two doors, it's the design that Mercedes is referencing, which has created a new class of car filled by the A7 and the BMW 6 Series Grand Coupe. The roof is raked back aggressively to the rear, which compromises rear headroom versus the E-Class by 2 inches, but gives the CLS's shape a smoother character. Unsurprisingly, the CLS63 matches the last E63 we tested in acceleration. It's all-wheel drive, allowing for a very aggressive launch that helps it reach 60 in 3.4 seconds. That ties the Viper. Passing the quarter at 11.7 seconds at 122.7 miles an hour, it's also on pace with the SLS AMG. While averaging 0.97 lateral G, the CLS63 makes up for it on the straights. Its 23.9 second figure-8 lap time matches the SLS AMG and 911 Carrera 4S. The first thing you notice when you drive the CLS is that it looks big and it looks heavy, and yet it moves with a certain agility. It's not sports car-like, but it doesn't feel as big as it seems. It feels slightly smaller. You can guide it through corners with surprising ease. I think it has to do with the steering. I think the relationship between the steering and the front wheels gives this car a certain slight nimbleness that makes it very easy to point around. Now the power. Yes, there is lots and lots of power with 590 pound-feet of torque. The downside is the transmission. It changes gears quickly, but it takes a second after you request a gear change to actually deliver it. But if you're hunting down redline in this car all the time, you may not be driving it the best way. This isn't a car I really enjoy driving 10/10ths, to be frank. It's a car I enjoy driving a bit slower. And as you get up against the limits of the chassis, you start sensing that understeer, that hesitation throughout the car. Right there, yep, there's some understeer. And it's not very fun. But if you back off a little bit, we're in the intermediate damper setting. There's 3 stages. We're in the intermediate one, and that seems to be the best of both worlds. The first stage is a little bit too soft, and the third stage is a little bit too stiff for the public roads. The second stage seems to work best, but there's still a little bit of that movement around. As we mentioned earlier, this is all-wheel drive with a constant torque split, a little bit going to the front, majority of it going to the rear. And on the road, you don't really notice it. If you're going to put a performance all-wheel drive system on a car, it needs to be a smart all-wheel drive system like what we've seen in the GTR and like the 911 that only doles out torque to the front wheels when it's absolutely necessary. But why would you buy this over an E63? That's the core question. So you buy this car for the styling cues, not for any added functionality, because if you sit in the rear seat, it seems like the hood or the roof cuts in a little further. But I do like the looks of this car versus the E63. The rear 3/4, the quarter panels especially, gives this car a certain persona and style that is a little bit more exciting. interior is upholstered nicely with these red material, leather, really nice controls. Everything's easy to use, laid out very simply. The steering wheel has this nice microfiber-like suede stuff on the wheel that's really nice to hold on to. What I like about driving this car, and that is not driving it extremely fast. So that is taking it easy, guiding it through corners, you know, setting up your reference points and your apexes, hitting those, but not like trying to kill your front tires with acceleration. And what's admirable is that this turbo V8 doesn't sound like a turbo car. Most turbo cars sound really quiet because those turbos muffle so much of the exhaust, but this still has a nice deep growl. It feels good, not gonna lie. What I keep being impressed by with these cars is how effortlessly you can maintain and deliver speed. It's actually kind of like, I think, not dangerous, but risk for your license. Because you could just be cruising along, not looking at the speedometer, look down and be like, oh, we are way over the speed limit. But there's nothing in the car telling you that. There's no sense of urgency. There's no, increased road noise. You don't even hear the engine that much. It's just this effortless delivery of speed. The CLS63 behaves like the sum of its parts, and that's a very good thing considering the ridiculous acceleration from that incredible V8. I love the way it builds in torque when you're puttering around town, how the exhaust note burbles along, sounding like you're on a boat. The conversation though ultimately will come to the E63 and whether the CLS is worth the extra $6,730. The answer will undoubtedly change depending on whom you ask. Some might like the muscular hard lines of the E63's quarter panels, I know I do, while the smooth shape of the CLS and its exclusivity might sway others. Either way, you're ending up with a sedan with simply astonishing performance. Why isn't there like a tuner shop named like the Turbo Bros?
It's actually a good name.
The Turbo Bros.
Turbo Bros?
The Turbo Bros. It's like Bob Lablaw's Law Blog.
What?
From Arrested Development. Oh. Bob Lablaw.
Turbo Bros.
The Bob Loblaw Law Bomb. Law Bomb, yeah. Bob Loblaw's Law Blog. He's the best character. The Turbo Bros. Yeah. Okay.